the Western viewpoint was that not only geostrategically was it advantageous to replace the Soviet Union in that key area, but also it was good for the peoples of the Caucasus too, because good governance had worked in Central and Eastern Europe, had, if you like, brought those former communist countries back into the brotherhood, if you like, of democratic nations. And there was a very strong sense that this could apply and would apply to countries like Georgia, Azerbaijan and Armenia. The problem was that the West never really understood that for Russia this was a vital security interest. For the West it was almost a natural extension of common sense, but it was never a vital security interest that we got the Caucasus, let alone Central Asia, under the Western umbrella. It was a kind of natural movement. The Manas air base, the Russians did put some pressure on the previous president of Kyrgyzstan to close that down. It's a good example though, because one common interest the United States and Russia share is a worry about Afghanistan falling into the category of a rogue state. And I think it's in Russia's interest, not just from the military point of view, but Russia is experiencing a very, very grave problem at the moment with narcotic addiction, and most of the heroin that is in circulation in Russia comes from Afghanistan. So you've got the joint interest between the United States, NATO and Russia for stability, some kind of stability in Afghanistan, this specific question of the drug question. And the related question, of course, is that Russia still feels extremely threatened by Islamic terrorism. One of the things that Westerners find very strange about Russian foreign policy perceived threats is that they don't seem to emphasize the potential threat from China much at all. Whereas, you know, if one looks at the demographics, if one looks at the economic growth of China and its generally expensive economic policy, one would have thought that if I was a Russian, I'd be thinking, you know, in 20 years' time, most of Siberia is going to be peopled by Chinese. The English term for the near abroad is the contested neighborhood. And whereas we tend to think of it as a neighborhood contested between Russia and the West, more and more people are saying it's a three-way contest, that it is Russia, the West and China. And it does remind me a little bit of the way that countries like Yugoslavia and the emerging African countries used to play off the Soviet Union against the United States. The smart countries in that region, and you know, let's take Kazakhstan as an example, are equally aware that China could become a big, big customer of its energy resources, but don't want to lose the West and Russia, you know, don't want to actually be beholden to one major purchaser.